Love and marriage was a song from that show with Al Bundy. Now he's on Modern Family.
What happens when television decides to stop pretending families are perfect? In 1987, America found out. Married with Children arrived like a brick through the polished windows of primetime television, tearing apart the glossy dream of suburban happiness. It was raw, unapologetic, and brilliantly absurd, a sitcom that mocked the very idea of sitcoms. Viewers either loved it or hated it, but no one could ignore it. Behind the laughter and chaos lay stories of chance rebellion and the strange magic of imperfection. Decades later, the Bundy family still feels familiar, a mirror of the times when cynicism met comedy and irony became a kind of truth. Today, the curtain lifts once again on the world of Al Peg Bud and Kelly 12 unforgettable moments that made Married with Children both controversial and iconic. Fact number 12, the Michigan housewife who made the Bundys famous. In 1989, Married with Children wasn't yet a legend, just a scrappy new sitcom trying to hold its place on Fox's fragile lineup. Then came Terry Rakolta, a Michigan housewife who decided she had seen enough. One episode, Her Cups Runneth Over, pushed her to launch a national morality campaign. She wrote letters called advertisers and appeared on talk shows demanding the program be taken off the air. But instead of killing it, she gave it life. Overnight, the obscene show became a must-see event. Ratings doubled. Viewers who had never heard of the Bundys tuned in just to find out what was so scandalous. Media historians today call Rakolta's crusade one of the earliest examples of public outrage marketing, a controversy that fuels popularity rather than ends it. Her protests turned a small network show into a cultural phenomenon. Even decades later, cast members admit that Married with Children owes part of its success to its loudest critic. Fox quietly moved the show to a later time slot, but celebrated privately. Controversy was currency, and the Bundys had just struck gold. Fact number 11, the unaired pilot with different children. Before the Bundys became household names, another version of the family existed, one few fans ever saw. The original pilot, filmed in 1986, featured Tina Caspary as Kelly and Hunter Carson as Bud. Their performances weren't bad, but something was missing. The producers later recalled that the chemistry felt flat, the energy dull. The show about dysfunction didn't yet have its spark. Then came Christina Applegate and David Faustino. Their arrival changed everything. Applegate's radiant mix of naivety and sly humor transformed Kelly into the show's chaotic heartbeat, while Faustino's awkward charm made Bud endearingly tragic. The network executives, still unsure whether Married with Children would even survive, instantly recognized the new synergy. Modern casting directors often cite this decision as one of television's smartest last-minute changes, proof that the right chemistry can turn mediocrity into lightning in a bottle. When the first official episode aired in April 1987, America didn't meet a family. It met a formula for chaos that would define Fox's identity for years to come. Fact number 10, the rock star behind the Leopard print. Before she became television's most gloriously lazy housewife, Katie Sagal was living a very different kind of dream. Long before Peg Bundy teased her hair and ruled the sofa, Sagal toured smoky bars and sound stages as a professional singer. She worked behind the scenes for legends: Bob Dylan, Etta James, Gene Simmons, Olivia Newton-John, even Bette Midler. Her voice, powerful and haunting, was the opposite of Peg's nasal whine. When Married with Children began, few viewers knew that the actress under all that leopard print had already lived a full rock and roll life. During the show's run, Sagal even released her own solo albums. Critics from Rolling Stone later reflected that Sagal's Peg was a musical soul, trapped in a world without rhythm. and perhaps that irony made her character even richer. Her off-screen musical discipline gave weight to Peg's on-screen apathy, a performer who knew both the stage lights and the glow of the TV set. In later years, Sagal would bring that same emotional depth to Sons of Anarchy, where her dramatic performances revealed the powerhouse beneath the polyester. Peg Bundy might have lounged on the couch, but Katie Sagal never stopped moving. Fact number 9. The hidden car in the opening credits. The first seconds of Married with Children always felt familiar. The open road, a line of traffic, and a single car weaving through the chaos. What most viewers never realized was that the green station wagon in that sequence wasn't filmed for the show at all. It came straight from National Lampoon's Vacation. Fox had licensed the shot from Warner Brothers, giving the Bundys the same infamous family car once driven by Chevy Chase as Clark Griswold. It was an accidental crossover, but a fitting one. Both families represented American suburbia at its most desperate parents, tired of pretending children too self-absorbed to notice and dreams stuck somewhere between the freeway and the mortgage payment. That single recycled shot symbolized something bigger: the shared DNA between comedy's two great dysfunctional families. Even decades later, film historians smile at the coincidence. It was as if television and cinema quietly acknowledged each other, saying, "We're both laughing at the same broken dream." By embedding the Griswold wagon into its opening, Married with Children linked itself to a broader tradition of American satire. The Bundys didn't just live on Jeopardy Lane. They lived on the cultural highway of middle-class frustration. Fact number 8. The show that built Fox's bad boy reputation. In 1987, Fox was the youngest and most uncertain network in America. It had no prestige, no hit shows, and no clear identity until Married with Children swaggered onto the screen. What began as an experiment soon became a rebellion. The Bundys said and did what no family on ABC or CBS would dare. They were crude, sarcastic, and gloriously unfiltered. The show's debut, alongside The Tracy Ullman Show, marked the birth of Fox's bad boy brand. For a network struggling to compete with the giants, this wasn't just risky, it was survival. Television historians later described those early episodes as blue-collar anarchy on primetime. There were no moral lessons, no tidy endings, only Al Bundy sinking deeper into frustration while the audience roared with recognition. By the early 1990s, Married with Children had done something extraordinary. It made Fox relevant. Its unapologetic humor inspired the tone of The Simpsons, Family Guy, and even South Park. The network that began as an outsider was now a cultural force, and the Bundys were its foundation. Looking back, the show's legacy is not just laughter, it's liberation. It gave permission for television to be irreverent, messy, and real. Fact number 7. The ending that never came. After 11 seasons and 259 episodes, Married with Children ended not with a finale, but with silence. In 1997, Fox quietly canceled the series without informing the cast. Ed O'Neill found out while on vacation when strangers at a restaurant mentioned it. Christina Applegate learned through friends. There was no farewell episode, no nostalgic montage, only a sudden void. The final episode aired. The Chicago Shoe Exchange wasn't meant to close anything. There were no hugs, no lessons, just the Bundys being themselves, bickering broke, and bizarrely content. And in a strange way, that was perfect. The Bundys had never changed. They were a family frozen in time, immune to sentimentality. Critics at Variety later called it the most accidentally fitting ending in sitcom history. In an age when shows strive for emotional closure, Married with Children ended exactly as it lived, unapologetically incomplete. Fans still debate what a true finale might have looked like, but perhaps there was no need for one. The Bundys were never about conclusions. They were about endurance. Fact number 6. The Bundys' disappearing house number. Across 11 seasons, millions of viewers watched Al Bundy slump onto the same worn-out couch, beneath the same flickering lamp. Yet eagle-eyed fans noticed something strange. The Bundys' address, 9764 Jeopardy Lane, kept changing. Sometimes it was 9674, other times 9764 again. The house never moved, but the numbers did, as if the family lived in a suburban twilight zone. Writers later admitted it was a simple continuity oversight, but audiences found it oddly fitting. The Bundys existed in a world where logic bent to laziness, where every day reset without consequence. Like a looped dream of working-class America, their home symbolized the monotony of survival, familiar, unchanging, slightly wrong. Scholars of television comedy have even described this inconsistency as an accidental metaphor for sitcom timelessness. The Bundys were never meant to evolve or escape. They were meant to persist, their house number shifting just enough to remind us that stability is sometimes an illusion. It became part of the show's mythology, a wink to those who paid attention, and an unintentional stroke of poetic irony. In the Bundys' world, details didn't need to add up. What mattered was that every week Al would come home, reach into his pants, and sigh, a ritual as constant as television itself. Fact number 5. The man who almost played Al Bundy. It's nearly impossible to imagine anyone but Ed O'Neill sitting on that couch, grumbling about life and lost dreams. Yet during early casting, another name nearly claimed the role, Michael Richards, who would later become Kramer on Seinfeld. Richards auditioned for Al Bundy, but his performance by most accounts was too erratic, too wild for the weary cynicism the part demanded. Casting director Mark Hirschfeld later recalled that Richards' audition didn't fit the rhythm of the show. But fate has a strange sense of humor. Years later, when Hirschfeld began casting Seinfeld, he remembered Richards' eccentric energy and gave him the role that would define his career. In a sense, Married with Children and Seinfeld are linked by that single failed audition. One created television's grumpiest father, the other its most unpredictable neighbor. Both rewrote the rules of sitcom character archetypes, and both reminded Hollywood that sometimes rejection is destiny in disguise. Had Richards been cast as Al Bundy, television history might have lost both Bundy and Kramer, two icons born from the same restless decade. Fact number 4. The feud that outlived the laughter. On-screen, Al Bundy and his next-door neighbor, Marcy Darcy, spent years exchanging insults that became legendary. She mocked his masculinity. He ridiculed her appearance. To audiences, it was sharp comedy, perfectly timed. But behind the scenes, the tension was more than fiction. Ed O'Neill later acknowledged that he and Amanda Bears, who played Marcy, had clashed off-camera for years. Their differences, never fully explained, seemed rooted in clashing personalities rather than malice. Bears was outspoken and politically active, while O'Neill preferred privacy and subtle humor. A small slight, her exclusion from a TV Guide cover photo, deepened the divide. She didn't invite him to her wedding. He mentioned it years later in interviews. Even so, both continued to deliver performances that defined their characters. Critics later praised their ability to keep professionalism above pride. When asked about O'Neill long after the show ended, Bierce only said she followed the thumper rule. If you can't say something nice, don't say anything at all. It was a graceful silence, reflective of a bygone Hollywood era when personal tensions stayed behind the curtain. Their feud has since become part of Married with Children's lore, proof that even comedy can leave quiet scars beneath the laughter. Fact number 3. The working title that almost started a war. Before Fox decided on Married with Children, the show nearly launched under another name, Not the Cosbys. It was a cheeky, defiant jab at television's reigning family series, The Cosby Show, which represented moral lessons, warm hugs, and middle-class harmony. The Bundys were the antithesis, loud, messy, and proud of it. Network executives debated whether the title went too far. In an era obsessed with wholesome imagery, it felt like a direct challenge to everything television held sacred. Ultimately, Fox relented, fearing backlash from advertisers. Yet the spirit of rebellion remained. Every scene, every punchline was a reminder that this was indeed not the Cosbys. Cultural critics now regard that scrapped title as a defining statement of intent. It revealed exactly what the creators wanted, a satire of the American dream itself. By mocking the perfection of the Huxtables married with children, gave voice to those who never saw themselves reflected in glossy sitcoms. The Bundys didn't live in a moral universe, they survived in a real one. That contrast, born from a single rejected title, marked a turning point in television history. It was the end of idealized families and the beginning of unapologetic realism. Fact number 2. The football legend behind the shoe salesman. Al Bundy's constant brag about scoring 4 touchdowns in one high school game became one of television's most recognizable running jokes. Yet the joke hid a slice of truth. Before Ed O'Neill ever stepped in front of a camera, he had lived the kind of small-town sports glory his character obsessed over. Born in Youngstown, Ohio, O'Neill played defensive line for Ursuline High School, earned a football scholarship to Ohio University, and even signed briefly with the Pittsburgh Steelers before being cut during training camp. That real athletic past gave Al Bundy's bitterness a genuine texture. When O'Neill complained about his glory days, audiences believed him because, in a way, he was speaking from memory. Later in life, he trained for more than 15 years to earn a black belt in Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, proof that behind the slouching shoe salesman was a man of discipline and resilience. Entertainment writers have since noted that O'Neill's duality, the washed-up dreamer with the heart of a fighter, was the reason Married with Children resonated with working-class America. Al Bundy wasn't just funny. He was familiar. He embodied every person who once dreamed big and woke up tired. Fact number 1. Bud Bundy's rap experiment. David Faustino, who played the eternally awkward Bud Bundy, wasn't content to live his musical fantasies only on screen. In the early 1990s, at the height of hip-hop's explosion, he released a real-life rap album under the stage name DeLil. The record, titled Ballistics, featured songs like I Told Ya and You Know What's Up, and was an earnest, if short-lived, attempt to bridge sitcom fame with street credibility. It never charted, but it became a cultural curiosity, part of that strange decade when television stars tried to reinvent themselves as pop icons. What seemed like an embarrassing footnote at the time has since been reassessed with a kind of nostalgic affection. In Los Angeles, Faustino even co-founded a Sunset Strip nightclub, also called Ballistics, which became a meeting ground for young hip-hop artists and TV actors alike. Decades later, music journalists now see his brief rap detour as an early example of crossover ambition, TV stars using their platforms to explore identity beyond scripted roles. Within Married with Children, the writers cleverly turned Faustino's real-life experiment into fiction. Bud's alter ego, Grandmaster B, parodied that desire for reinvention. It was self-mockery before irony became mainstream, a sitcom quietly laughing at fame's fragility. By the end of the show, Bud's musical dreams faded, just as the Bundy saga did. But in its own way, the story completed a circle. Behind the cheap laughs lay a generation searching for meaning, one punchline at a time. For more than a decade, Married with Children stood as television's unapologetic rebel, a mirror to the unpolished side of America that primetime once tried to hide. It mocked perfection, celebrated failure, and somehow made dysfunction feel human. Behind every laugh was a truth that ordinary families could be just as chaotic, selfish, and strangely loving as the Bundys themselves. From Terry Ricolta's protests to the show's unannounced ending, each of the 12 facts tells a story of television changing before our eyes. What began as a sitcom about a grumpy shoe salesman became a cultural statement, a portrait of the late 20th century, when laughter was a form of defiance. Today, Married with Children survives not just in reruns, but in the DNA of every edgy comedy that followed. Whether it's The Simpsons' Family Guy, or It's Always Sunny in Philadelphia, the Bundys live on in spirit, loud, unfiltered, and unashamed. Of the 12 facts, above which one surprised you the most? Was it the failed pilot, the rock star housewife, or the controversy that made the show immortal? Thank you for watching. And if you enjoyed this nostalgic trip through television's most dysfunctional family, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your memories in the comments. See you in the next video. This is TV Time Capsule.